In part 1 of this video, we discussed the JavaScript if statement, and now we're going to work with a similar statement called the switch statement, where the if statement is ideal for comparing one or two values to determine different outcomes. The switch statement is intended for when we wish to work with a variety of different outcomes for a certain value. So, for example, consider a situation where you want to configure a web page to display differently for three different types of users. Perhaps you have your regular visitor, you have a supervisor user, and an administrator. So you could switch based on what type of user has logged in, and you could configure the entire web page in JavaScript differently based on which of the three users. So to follow that example, we'll try to build a similar script. The first thing that I'm going to do is create a variable. So we'll call this variable var user type, and we can immediately set it equal to something. So we'll set it equal to visitor. And to prepare for our example, we're going to copy this 3 times, and we're going to actually disable 2 of the 3 lines with comments, and we'll change these to be super and admin. And then next, we're going to build a switch statement. And we're going to have a comment. It's always good to document your code. And we'll say configure the page differently depending, and here we can put another comment, on type of user. So the switch statement is structured in lowercase as switch, and then in simple parentheses we'll enter the variable that we're examining. So in this case it's user type, and again we have to type this case sensitive in terms of upper and lowercase characters matching the name of the variable. And then we use an open and closing bracket. Whoops, wrong character. We use an open and closing bracket that will contain the entire definition for our different options for when we're switching between values. So the next statement that we have to use within switch is case. The case statement exists for every single possible option. So one option is visitor, and we put it in quotes as we showed for any string, and we put a colon at the end. Another case, as we see above, is super, a supervisor user, and the last case we had was admin. There's a fourth condition we can add called default. This would be what would happen, or what code would be executed if none of those 3 users were passed in, if there was something unexpected. So for our next step, we're going to enter an alert statement for each of these conditions. So we'll just put alert visitor user, and I'll copy that line of code for the sake of time, and then we'll just do the same thing for the other user types. Now for default, I'm going to actually concatenate a value so we can see what was passed in. So we'll say alert user type plus just simply user. We're concatenating with a plus sign. So the next thing we'll do is we will save our file. Now at this point, we're still not ready to run our script. The reason being is that we need to include a break statement. The break statement ends execution of the switch whenever we hit a condition that we expect based on the value passed in. So we need to have a break statement after each of these groupings. So now that I've saved the file, I'm going to refresh my page, and we see that we have a visitor user passed in. So I'm going to comment out that line of code, and I'm actually going to create an other user, a different type of user. So we'll call this mystery user. And I'll go and I'll run the page again, refresh it, and there we see it came up with the fourth case, the default case. Switch statements are very powerful, but they're also very simple. There's not much to a switch statement. It's just a matter of getting the concept. And you can switch between other values. You can switch between numbers or dates or really anything where you want to have a special event happen based on one of multiple values for something that you're evaluating. And that's really all there is to the switch statement. Thank you very much.